Hello everyone, welcome to the longer version of the Lightning Warp Heist video. Here we'll be going over more in depth into our build mechanics. The name of the game is Efficiency. The build is fast, safe, and easy to transition from Poison Concoction Pathfinder. I mean, it's literally the same tree. We'll talk more about budget later. Let's say you already understand all of the mechanics and intricacies of the build. Then these two slides in the POB should be plenty for you. I'll give you a minute to take a look at them. Alright, let's talk budget. I do have some concerns. We have multiple key uniques and supply may be scarce. The biggest worry I have is the Weight of Sin unique jewel, since we need 3 of them. The other uniques may also be a bit difficult to find, but ultimately given the performance, I think almost any price is fine. Last league I spent about 40 to 50 chaos, with the majority of it being on the Queen of the Forest. Alright, let's talk mechanics. Remember, we want a long lightning warp duration, which means we need a really low move speed. There are a lot of numbers here, but there are only 2 that really matter to us. When we're on low life, we get negative 40% move speed from Lionized Paws, and Iron Reflexes, which prevents our evasion from giving us move speed through Queen of the Forest. Since Lightning Warp's duration is calculated using move speed and distance, we can increase and decrease our Lightning Warp duration by casting further or closer. I suggest using your quest log as an anchor point to get more consistent results. Let's quickly talk about offense and defense. It's Heist, it doesn't really matter. We don't really stay around for the dangerous part anyways, so honestly it's not an issue at all. Alright, so in the showcase video I did this pretty quickly, so I'll detail out each step here. This is what to do when we enter the Heist area. First, we swap to our offhand combo, Grellwood Shank and Lionized Remorse. Grellwood Shank will prevent our evasion rating from giving us move speed, and Lionize will just slow us further. Then we swap to low life, so arrogance and any aura ideally. Then we cast Lightning Warp, which will allow us to return later. Then we swap back to our main hand and just run the heist. Here are some common mistakes you might do. You might forget to cast Lightning Warp, which would be a tragedy. Or this next one's actually pretty big. There's a small passive that gives us 3% move speed. If you don't grab it, we'll be sitting at negative 101% move speed, and Lightning Warp will use the default move speed, which is not what we want. It's also possible that you rolled haste on one of your companion auras, which will, again, interrupt the delicate balance of our movement speed. Having your Quicksilver or Onslaught Flask on can also do the same thing. Alright, let's talk about the future of this build and potential alternatives to some of the things I suggested earlier. So I've played around with a few ideas, and it definitely feels like the build is already in a good enough state that it doesn't need anything else, but if you need more damage or a little more move speed, you can also do a boot swap to Temptation Steps, which is coming out this league because Ultimatum is coming back, but you'll need some source of unaffected by poison, otherwise you might kill yourself. For the Toxic Rain enjoyers out there, I think it's very viable. You do get a little smoother clear, but you lose out on shield charge, and honestly, I don't think that's worth it. You'd also need a completely different tree, which I'm not going to provide. For the last idea, Self-Chill, it would definitely make us faster, but I really don't think we really need it. Honestly, looting takes the longest amount of time, and that's a player skill issue. Alright, so that about wraps up the main portion. I have a few more things to say before we go. First off, please test the build in Standard before you try it as a League starter. You need to understand how Lightning Warp works. If you don't, you might not have a good time. Second, don't play this build if you don't like Heist. It's like trying to save a failed marriage by having a baby. Apparently, not a good idea. Lastly, if you have any questions, I'll be streaming for about a week after this build releases. Feel free to drop by and ask away. I might not be streaming Path of Exile, but I will definitely be trying to answer all the questions that you ask. Also, consider subscribing to me. Alright, thank you so much for watching. Regardless of whether you actually play this build, I hope that you'll do well in this coming league and future ones.